It was yesterday on Fresh and Fit, dude. I love Fresh and Fit, but it's too much talking. Fresh and Fit. You know, honestly, this is why Woodstown is such a breath of fresh air. People don't realize it. It's not even that it's hilarious, which it is, and everybody loves it. All our guests love our show, and you can tell they are happy to be there, and they love it. Is also that what makes it awesome is it's two people talking, and it's like a conversation, and so there's like an actual social aspect instead of like staring at a screen like, what am I going to watch? What am I going to watch? What am I going to react to? There's like a human element back and forth that people don't get. People don't understand. They're missing. We tap into something. It's the same reason that people love Politically Provoked, because it's 1.5 people talking to each other. Let's go do Fresh and Fit here. Let's see it out. Check it out. React to Gore on 4chan. Now the time to pivot to Gambas? No.
Maybe I can start the inquiry.
Haz. Haz is balding. Haz is balding. If you look here, see that? That's bald. He's dragging stuff over, bro.
Be there so that we can just kind of dive into it without kind of bloviating for 3 minutes, so we can just get right into it.
Never trust a man with a well-groomed beard. Never trust a man with a beard at all, honestly. But this is gay, dude. You fruity gay nigga.
Okay, all right. I'll put it in.
He's pulling off the Vince Vaughn look. He's really aged into Vince Vaughn territory. He's kind of goated, honestly. He's like, for whatever reason, he aged into this like look. It clicked. It finally clicked. Where no matter what he does, he looks goated. He looks like a movie star. He reminds me of Vince Vaughn.
Minutes on the clock for Haas to respond to that.
Right. There's something about nobody else could pull off a black short sleeve shirt with a black hat and a white tee. There's nobody who could pull that look off without being like cringe. Besides him, somehow Andrew Wilson just he's pulled out. He's turned into like scum maxing, Guido scum maxing. Vince Vaughn goat. It's beautiful, dude. Perfect look. Something about him is just top up and comer of the year, dude.
Sure, I think that the problem though is that even if we accept at face value,
is that bad to say? Is Guido bad to say? I think that's like a term of endearment. No, there's just something about it. Looks great.
Somehow, in this sweeping way, acted against the creditor class.
Can I say that? Am I allowed to say that?
I think is false. I think what he actually did was he got rid of the Hamiltonian, which is more like a national bank, not necessarily a central bank like the Federal Reserve, which is strictly privately owned. And that could also be interpreted as a pro-creditor move. But even Andrew Jackson, what is he regarded as historically? He's regarded as a populist, right? So what communism and Marxism will often talk about, politically speaking, is that society is divided by a class struggle. And if you want to act against the interests of creditors, you have to have your base of...
I don't want to act against the interests of creditors. I want to act in my own self-interest, which involves not having creditors. This whole like petty resentment, it's like, dude, kill yourself. I'm not acting in the interest against people. I'm acting in my own interest. Wake up, dude.
Support somewhere. And if your base of support is not in the people who have all the money and have all the resources and have all the wealth, it seemed like at face value you're going to be screwed. But actually, the multitudes, the majority of people, the working class,
I need to get the sticker set up.
That's a base of support that could be relied upon to achieve goals that are in favor of them, right? There's more of them. Numerically, so that's an advantage that can be drawn.
I'll get the sticker set up soon.
The historical class struggle.
I need to find out what I have to do for that.
Between a ruling class and the masses, which are part of a different class, right? And in the case of Andrew Jackson and other cases of populist leaders, I mean, for example, even the Farmers Alliance and the Populist Party, they were calling for a cancellation of debts, and they weren't Marxists and they weren't explicitly communists. But as long as they're unable to scientifically understand the ability for their strategy to work and succeed, as long as they're unable to understand the dynamics I just mentioned, that it's a class struggle, that you need this reliable basis of support, inevitably what's going to happen is exactly what did happen in American history. The creditors will return. Again, this is off of the premise that Andrew Jackson was an creditor-president, which I disagree with. But even if we assume that was true, it's clear that the way history played out was exactly the opposite. It's clear that the banking class, the creditor class, actually emerged here in the United States from the indigenous industrial capitalists that were promoted already under Lincoln, right? So I would respond basically with, well, why did the debt come back if it was so simple?
Yeah, so...
Okay. I will go... Okay, so that concludes that round one. We'll go ahead to round two. I'll put 3 minutes on the clock again, and go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, so I mean, this is going to be a continual struggle. As long as you have leadership which wants access to money, the only thing that they can do is offer up their people as a form of credit for that money. That's the only thing they can do is offer up the tax base as a form of credit. You know this, and I know this. This is the way that all nations basically back up what they need as far as credit for their nation. They're going to put the taxpayer as the kind of collateral for whatever the loan is that they need. So the reason that this is kind of occurring again and again and again cyclically, I would actually say that this is due to egalitarian principles. So this idea where you're taking humanity out of this, I think that what happens with egalitarian principles is they form small microgroups. These microgroups then have their own assessed and addressed interests. And once they realize that they can raid the treasury via the vote, once they realize that they can vote in their own interest to steal your money, whatever these groups are which formulate, they will do that. And that is part of I think...
Dude, it has to all be... It has to be PNGs, dude. Really? Whatever. I'll make some stickers.
Democracy in and of itself, and egalitarianism in and of itself. Communism does
Makes me
nothing
pissed off
for that. How would communism, absent a central authority, where it was some type of totalitarian dictatorship? I do not understand how communism can actually solve for this issue. If you're going to allow people to participate in any sort of democratic process whatsoever, and you're going to allow them to participate in any sort of government process whatsoever, they're going to have to be able to vote or somehow participate.
And it can't be over 500 by 500?
They can steal. Group A can steal from Group B via the vote. They will do so because Group A will always outnumber Group B. Group B will always outnumber Group C. They can always vote themselves Group A, B, C, and D's money. All you need to do is have the numbers. Communism, this was known, was a big problem with. This is why Giovanni Gentile himself kind of points to the idea of these large trade corporations swallowing up the smaller trade corporations. Now, these were actually trade unions, but he kind of understood. He came from the idea of Marxism and communist theory. So he says, well, wait, we need a body of the state which can control for these small groups coming in and basically taking over these other groups just via numbers. You point to this yourself when you say, look, they have the numbers. I agree. Group A has the numbers. Group A can always vote or use force to take from Group B. You still haven't really explained to me how.
Dude, why is it so much work to use stupid
problem.
Stickers?
I don't understand how
Pick
communism
sticker maker
itself or Marxist theory is going to solve for that very human problem.
Okay. I'll turn it back to Haz here. I'll put 3 minutes on the clock, and whenever you're ready.
I'm a little bit confused about exactly what you're talking about, because it seems clear to me from concrete historical examples that the only forces politically in modern world history that have ever been able to wage and mount a long-term defiance of the global creditor class, and which is therefore the global capitalist class, have obviously been communist states. I mean, what loans did Stalin need to take out and debt the Soviet Union into? What loans did China need to take out under Mao in order to enslave and indebt their country to international capitalists? No such thing, because we have to look at the source of where credit comes from. Credit doesn't just come out of thin air. It comes from actually controlling the means of production. I don't want to use Marxist jingo because I know you have a kind of allergy to that, but
it's fine to do. Just explain what the term means.
Means of production. It just means the fundamental way in which the basic necessities, economic necessities of your country are produced. How do people get clothed? How do they get fed? How do they get shelter? Right? How are things made? So this is the natural resources. This is the factories. This is the technology. These are all the fundamental meat and potatoes of an economy that are necessary for human beings in a given context of civilization to exist as they do. So credit, the ability to actually issue credit, comes from a fundamental stranglehold and control over means of production. Historically speaking, it was always land. If you controlled the land, you could use that land as collateral to give out loans and further gobble up more land, because debtors would have to pledge their land in order to take out the loans. So historically, this is the origin of pro kind of creditor classes emerging across many different eras of history. But in the case of the capitalist era, it's actually clear that we have an ownership of the means of production.
Dude, really?
It's purely for profit, which is owned by us and gobbled up by a small
This
minority.
sticker
which
sucks so bad on here.
culminates in monopolists like the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, the Morgans, and so on and so on. And they are the ones who actually built the foundation of the Federal Reserve banks in the United States. If it wasn't for the fact that they owned the railways, they owned the oil, they owned all of the factories, and so on, the steel, the rise of the Federal Reserve and the pro-creditor policies we see today wouldn't have been possible. So this communism solves this problem because the fundamental means of production are owned in common. They're owned by the state, they're owned by the people in some other form, and this prevents the need, it prevents the need from taking out foreign loans necessarily in order to develop your country. You can develop from scratch. Now, there's drawbacks from that because it creates instabilities that, historically, I won't deny, have led to brief but very, very severe, economic dysfunction, right?
10 seconds.
Yeah. So, but I don't see the problem. I don't see how communists haven't solved this problem. I don't understand what you're getting at there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's 3 minutes. We're going to go on to round 3. Put 3 minutes on the clock again. We got chats. I'll read chats after this round because they're in the middle of a good thing here. You ready, Andrew?
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, you still haven't actually explained how communism has solved this issue. So, yes, it's true that rich industrialists definitely got together with the political class in order to pass the Federal Reserve Act. There's no doubt that that's true. I agree with you that there's a groundwork setting for this with rich industrialists who definitely moved towards the Federal Reserve. There's just no doubt. That's a matter of historic fact. However, you still haven't really explained how it is that you would prevent Group A, if they're going to participate in your communist utopia or society, from stealing the wealth of Group B. Right? As long as they can vote or somehow participate in the political process, they can vote themselves Group B shit. There's not, I don't understand how communism solves.
It's not going to happen, dude.
The means of production along with the people.
Dude,
So
it's not going to happen.
Well, the people are still going to be the form of credit. You say, well, traditionally it was land. That's true, but people have to work the land, so it's still the people who are the credit, right? It's just
not going to happen, dude.
For your collateral. So if you're a nation and you want to take out a big loan, you're going to say, hey, we can pay this loan back because here's our tax base, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. You still haven't actually explained how in communism, if people are allowed to participate in the political process, how do you prevent them from stealing the capital if they have a larger group than Group B? Can you just directly answer? It's still my time, but just go ahead and give the direct answer.
I mean, China is a communist country which doesn't have this problem. Does that not answer it? Because the reason they don't have the problem...
That's a mixed economy.
Well, look, the Soviet Union didn't have that problem, and neither did China. Because in order for different private groups to constitute themselves as separate political interests...
They weren't allowed to participate, though.
You're right, precisely. That's the meaning of proletarian dictatorship. You have a one-party state. You don't allow different groups and private interests to constitute themselves as a political
so you want
power.
Authoritarianism, ultimately.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so authoritarianism under a single person.
Not necessarily under a single person, but certainly under a single party.
Okay, so if we're moving towards authoritarian communism, right, now we can kind of move into...
The real kind, historically.
Yeah, so now we can kind of move into the rest of it here. So...
I'm adding some
dictator,
emojis.
He's going to set all trade policies.
Some emotes.
Right, or this authoritarian group. People
Let me know when you can see them in the...
participate inside of the government structure that you propose.
I completely disagree. I think that one-party dictatorships, such as in the Soviet Union and China, have been much more able to integrate the input and participation of the masses.
I don't mean to cut you off. It was a question, so it wasn't a disagreement.
Oh, okay. What's the question again?
I'm asking specifically.
10 seconds.
Are you just moving towards authoritarianism? If you're moving towards authoritarian,
very good. Yes, very good.
Authoritarianism. Can you explain how that mode works?
do you want me to answer directly, like how it works in historical
His time
examples?
is up, so we'll turn it over to you anyway. So,
Yeah.
it's your turn.
So
and real quick, you guys are okay with that? Where you guys can ask each, as long as you guys.
Vince Vaughn goated.
Sometimes we're gonna have to clear.
Vince Vaughn goated, dude.
What I'll do is this is what I'll do. If since you guys are like not like fucking idiots like other debaters, you guys can ask each other questions in the middle of your thing. And it'll count for your time, right? So that way we'll keep it fair. But you get like clarifying questions and stuff like that. Since this is a complex topic,
right?
All right, I'll turn it right over to you, man. 3 minutes. Go ahead.
When you just have a single party, which is based on the single purport that we want to increase the prosperity and serve the common interests of your country, then there's no more negotiation and political debates about like what the goal should be. Everyone's on the same page that the goal is about serving the common interests, serving the people, increasing the productive forces and the wealth, and so on and so on. Now that you've set that goal about, the question is, how do you acquire the input and the data from below, from the people who are the least assimilated within the party's power structure apparatus, in order to make decisions that are popular and reflect the sentiments and the reality, more importantly, of your people, right? Well, for example, we have historical examples that show how this would work. In China, at the lowest, most rural smallest village level, you have party members that are there that are leaders of their community, that are getting input from their community, that are actually accountable to their community. The accountability measures that as a party leader, as a local political leader, not even necessarily a party one, you have to perform. You have to be doing good for your community. If you're not performing, if you're doing bad by them and abusing your power,
doing bad,
they'll report you to the person above, right? So this is not a matter of a hypothetical system we have to dream up and conjure from scratch.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Let me get clarity on 2 points, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So point one, when you say own the means of production, the people also own the means of production. What does ownership in this context mean?
That however the means of production are used, they have to be pledged ultimately in the last and final sense for a common goal, right? So, and whatever that common goal is defined by and by who, that's who owns it. So the Communist Party in China owns all of the land, right?
Right.
But they don't strictly define the parameters in every detail as far as how the land can be used. You can lease land for them and use it in ways that they can't account for beforehand, as long as it doesn't violate the fundamental goal, right? So if you're using the land in a way that ultimately benefits the country and benefits the overall goals of the party, you know, they're giving you room to be creative and entrepreneurial as far as how you're going to do that. But can you own land just for the purpose of, you know, of speculative profit?
Like,
or
what
just,
if you just want it?
And you don't have any goal whatsoever?
Yeah, you just want it.
Yeah, I mean, you have there. It needs to.
Right, I'm
be,
uploading Chad Beardson. You really got to get on Kick to use Chad Beardson.
The country, right? So this is what is meant by ownership. It's not necessarily. See, people have a misunderstanding about the communism as common ownership and state ownership, because they think it's a matter of a unilateral managerial control. That's not necessarily true. Control and ownership are two different things. Control is about management and administration and the degree to which there's flexibility and freedom for people to find different ways to realize the same goal. Seconds. But ownership is fundamentally about sovereignty, right? Ownership is about the fact that, okay, if you're in China, this is our land. Foreigners,
Chad Beardson's been uploaded.
You can't just take this land and use it for willy-nilly to enslave all of us and hold it against us. It's ultimately ours in the last and final sense. So, instance, that's what I meant to say.
Stickers are too small? No, they're not.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. I added 30 seconds.
More anime for you freaks?
Oh, okay,
that's why I added more time to you. That's time right there.
Yeah.
But did you want to finish your thought before I...
I was gonna say. You're
talking about the difference between controlling and owning land.
Ownership is about sovereignty. It's a sovereignty question. It's not necessarily about administration and management.
Okay, fair enough. I'll put 3 minutes on again. And do you guys want this where we go ahead and you guys can ask questions to each other? Because I'll put more time on the clock.
I prefer to just open it up, honestly.
You guys want to open it up?
Yeah, I'm totally cool
Okay,
with
so that completes...
All right, we got some emotes.
That completes our round.
Got some emotes in chat. There we go.
We'll go ahead and make these... I'll put 5 minutes on the... You guys okay with 5 minutes?
We'll take a quick break.
Quick break from word from our sponsor, and then we'll go ahead and restructure this stuff. So we completed opening in 3 rounds. Go ahead, Mo. Or I can read chats.
No, we gotta... I'll read the ads.
All right, yeah, go ahead. Read the ad, and then we'll do chats after. That's good stuff, man. I've been taking notes the whole time. I'm learning a bunch from you guys.
you could say certain groups come in and they take land, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the land isn't even
Yo, what's up, Core? How you doing?
Right.
They
How do you like the
don't
setup?
need
Look, check this
force. They
out.
just
Yeah.
put up a flag and say, this is mine.
Yeah.
What makes it not
Check this
theirs?
out.
What
I
makes
had
it
enough
theirs is,
people calling me looking
what
like I
makes
was
it
sick
theirs
or
historically
dead.
from classical political
I bought some
communists will say
lights, I bought a
because
green
their
screen,
labor was
I
used
adjusted
to
the
cultivate
webcam.
land, and their labor is
And
being
now,
used to
now we're
participate
cooking
in
with
it.
gas.
This is what makes it theirs. This is what makes it reflect their fundamental essence and their fundamental being.
Also, I'm banning people from
When you have
Cozy Chat.
societies constituted
Making
by a
them
very
move
complex
to
division of labor,
Hick.
or in order to produce
Check
the
this out.
civilization itself at the
You
average
look nice,
level,
thank you.
you have a bunch of
PowerChat.live/Paul
different moving parts and a bunch of different
Town
kinds
now.
of labor that are working together, that are necessary and indispensable for each other. I mean, if for a factory, you need, there's so many different specialized roles just for something like that, right? That's just at the factory level. Now think of it at the level
I
of
miss
a country.
Cozy.
There's
It was-
so many
it
different
used to be
types of
good.
labor that are necessary.
It used to
for
be what it was
for
about,
a
but we're not
nation
about
to
that
exist.
anymore.
Just to
It
be able
sucks
to feed
now.
itself and clothe itself and
No
so on.
disagreement there.
So,
Ever since Nick destroyed my
how
show,
can we pin down,
Woodstown,
if
just
you wanna
totally
take this
destroyed
at a
it
more
with
moral
his
level, that someone
horrible
in
words.
particular is
I'm
entitled
destroying
absolutely
Cozy.
to own this in the way that you're talking about, like at the level of sovereignty and power, when they are interdependent on others just as much as well.
Because
I'm removing
all we
all
have is
Cozy branding from
intuition.
my streams.
And this seems
'Cause
like
I'm
this is
mad,
the system
dude.
that you're advocating is intuition. I don't see how else you're advocating for anything other than and I'm going to be tongue-in-cheek a bit here, my preferences, right, and my intuition. Intuitively, people seem to want to own things themselves. They want those things to be theirs. They don't want them to be collective. For instance, right, I own my wife. Now, I don't mean ownership the same way that I would maybe own the studio or something like
W
this.
boss,
I think
perhaps?
you understand the gist, or the geist, as Hegel would say, of what I'm getting at here.
W
She's
boss.
mine. I'm not sharing her. I'm not sharing my kids, right?
Now, aside from the wife thing, we can get into that later. But let's just say this mug. This is
Total
your
boss
mug. I
mode.
want to drink out of it. I don't want to share with anyone else. It's mine. No. This is I get what you're saying now.
Yeah.
This is my mug. I use it for something. It's mine. I'm the one who uses it, and it's mine, right? So
No,
you're giving
it's mine
content
now.
to it. You're
mine
using
now.
it in a way that is reflective of your humanity, reflective of your existence, and of course, any civilization recognizes and respects those boundaries. That this is yours because this is what you use, right? But here's the problem: capitalist private property isn't just about I want to use this, and that's what defines its exclusivity.
It's
about
mine
an
now.
institution where you're pledging fundamental means of production and resources that we all depend on and all rely upon for the sole and exclusive purpose of making a profit. Not even necessarily making profit for like a predefined goal of like, I want to get rich, I want to have a yacht with women, and I want to have a luxurious life. Even that would be more compatible with communism because at least there's a goal that's human at the end of it, right? But the capitalist system doesn't have human goals. It's a maddening process of capital just self-expanding blindly only for the
Haz,
purpose
I've
I've
of
just
profit.
changed the
That's
URL.
5 minutes there. I was gonna just let him
Can
get
we
his thought.
extend it for a minute?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, go ahead.
So
Now it's on
2 minutes more.
kick.com/realpaultown.
These systems don't exist in a vacuum. When you say a capitalist system, you're talking about people.
Now you go
These
here.
are
Let's check this
human
out. Watch
beings
this.
Who are at the heads of these systems?
Now,
Don't believe that just because you're a capitalist, you're a monster. Of course, you don't believe that. either.
kick.com/realpaultown.
Nor if you're invested in a capitalist
Boom.
system, you're a monster.
No.
no more Cozy.
Clearly, though,
Gone.
People want to individually be
Gone.
able to have at least some autonomy, law, right? Law of yourself, to own things which are theirs and they share with nobody. It's not yours. It's not to help you. It's not to do anything for you. And you can go fuck
That's
yourself,
just
right?
but that's just a personal use. That's for personal
Yeah,
consumption.
but the thing is like, why is it that would...
Nick's telegram today
But hang on.
reads
you
like an
said
apology to you,
earlier,
kinda. No, it doesn't, dude. Nick doesn't need to apologize for telling the truth, dude. Look, all jokes aside, I had a great time. I could understand being miserable during Super Chess, dude. He doesn't need to apologize to me. He can not enjoy something. That's fine, dude. That's not a problem. You guys suck. It's not an apology to me. That's just a real fact. That is something real. You can tell if somebody likes something or not. You know, that's a good trait.
There's civilization,
Stop trolling.
and it varies by what civilization we're talking
Oh,
about.
we're never going on Cozy again.
Recognizes boundaries by
I'm
which,
okay with it, but we're never gonna be on
privacy
Cozy
of the
again, dude.
individual is recognized. See, this is the thing that I think is so difficult, and I think this
Yeah,
is
he doesn't
the
need to
language
apologize,
stuff we
dude.
were
Kick
talking about
pays,
earlier,
better.
that, Marxists are obfuscating language. Well, it's because things didn't
better.
always mean what
The
they
Woodstown
mean to us now, like
fandom.
private
I
property.
look. I
If
know
you're
the
a
Groypers
private-
are wild, but Nick realized that the Woodstown fandom is actually crazier than the Groypers. We stay quiet, but we are violent and horrible people. So he understands he needs to play it cool now that he's seen what's the level of devotion and the level of love that the Woodstowners have.
culminating in capitalism was just money for money.
Nick said you were funny. Yeah, Nick was very nice to me. Nick said it was awesome and I was the best. He said that you guys suck and the super chat suck, which I understand.
So many homes that are meant for people to live in just for purposes of speculation.
Paul, you are a
and
terrible
just for
person. True.
purposes of,
You're
you know,
banned.
generating
You have to go
fictitious
on
capital
to.
and fictitious profits.
If you want
that
to
are not
talk, you have to go on to
even
kick.com/realpaultown.
A bank owns an asset.
Hang on, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let's back up.
I thought ripping on the show is part of the show. No, those are just haters bots. Nick was controlled by hater bots. That's not even a real video, dude. Well, the video you saw, that's literal just AI. You saw a video of me putting on a toupee. That's not real, dude. It's the same thing with Nick. The video is a toupee, bro. Wake up. Wake up. That was called AI.
Everything, not individuals. And to me, that is exactly the consequence of the system of private property itself.
Yeah, but how would communism itself, the way that you are promoting it here, is not really telling us why we wouldn't just be shifting from bankers owning everything to just Group A.
Let's get the
owning
Woodstown
everything.
money
If you
rolling
do
in here
Boris
without
doctrine,
Woods.
Group A, in this case,
We're trying to
Congress
have a-
is going to own.
Keith's gonna DM me. So you're trying to have Woodstown without Woods, huh? No donations. You're trying to have Woodstown without Woods, huh? No. No, deletes all the VODs. Deletes a VOD. No. Deletes VOD. No, Keith. I wasn't trying to do a show without you. Deletes VOD. No, Keith. I wasn't doing anything. Delete, 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 delete.
Even if you have a corrupt...
Haz, hang on.
Yeah.
Who the hell are you accountable to when you have
No.
the force doctrine on your side? Banks.
What do you
one
mean?
thing banks don't have, banks themselves don't have force doctrine. They rely on governments who they bribe to protect them from, the people or whatever.
They
it
own
is
the
that
government.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But in this case, all you're doing is shifting the goal to the government doing the exact same thing. You're claiming these banks are.
Go to Wood.
On
Now
what
they have
basis-
all the machine guns
So,
too. What redress do you
to
think
be
the
clear-
people have?
Okay, so even if we're talking about a corrupt
Show me the
authoritarian
word.
government that's communist or something, right? Even if it's corrupt,
Wasn't that all of them?
no.
No.
The minute, no, they weren't fundamentally corrupt. But even then, even if we assume they were, it's still better because even in order for them to not get overthrown instantly, right, they have to at least justify themselves on the basis that this is what we're using it for and have to be held to that standard. Even that, even if it was corrupt, that's better than if a banker owns everything or bankers own everything for totally antisocial purposes, just to systemically dysfunctional purposes, right? Ones that don't even make rational economic sense, just for the purposes of making money, but the money's backed up by nothing and it's self-multiplying because of the way interest works, and it's totally negating its own fundamental premises. It's not being reinvested.
But even if I agree that this could be superior to a banker class, right?
Yeah.
It seems like neither class is necessary for humans to be dominant. So humanity can still move towards its interests, absent having an authoritarian, autonomous, communist government.
What's an example of that, though?
So an example of people self-governing during Jackson's day, this happened often. So you can look at an example in American history. Often this was the case that people self-governed, especially around land ownership. Now, you talk about people who bought up large swaths of land. That's true. But originally, you have to remember that was done away with as well. You could not buy up X amount of acreage if it was outside of the public use. So the reason for this is they wanted to stop those monopolies from happening. So I agree with you in this sense that it's okay.
But they happened.
Under communism, the same exact types of things happened.
Like what? Like what do you mean?
Like the government now, you just have shifted the means of ownership.
But when has this happened under a communist government?
What? Which thing?
When has a creditor class, a monopolistic class, been able to just come and take over everything?
Who has it? So you're just shifting the authority from the bank to the government. So when does this happen under communism? Hang on. It always happens under communism. It's just that you shift who owns the means of production to the authoritarian portion instead of the banker portion. It's the same thing.
But at the worst, a communist government is mismanaging. They're not fundamentally using the resources for an antisocial private goal.
So, okay, when you say...
Or else, if they are, then it's like the collapse of the Soviet Union, where oligarchs just come and they just say, it's no longer communism.
But when you say antisocial goal, what do you mean by antisocial goal?
One that in no way is accountable to the public and to publicly accountable and stated and enunciated goals, like the 5-year plans they have to draft up.
That's all private property ownership. I don't have to account for what I do with my private property to the public. It's none of their fucking business.
You're right, but a Communist Party does.
Yeah, right, exactly. So the thing is if I'm under the Communist Party, right, and I have my private property, do I have to give it a fucking accounting to them of what I'm doing with my private property? If I own 300 acres and, you know,
what do you mean?
There's an eaves there, or there's something in the public domain,
under communism, all of the fundamental means of production, including land, will be owned in common. Now, if you're leasing out the land, let's say, to the state, and you have the rights to the lease one way or another because historically your parents had it or whatever, do you have to be accountable for everything? I mean, no. I mean, look, you think Chinese fruit stand sellers have to report to the government everything they're doing? Absolutely not. There's even more. It's even ironic. They have more autonomy and freedom and wiggle room than here.
The government's turning a blind eye to it for the purpose of social cohesion.
Well, it's not that they're turning a blind eye. It's that they're not interested in just meddling and interfering with people's day-to-day lives. But
there's no benefit,
what the Communist Party is ensuring, though, right, is that people in the course of just living their lives normally are doing so in a way that is harmonious and compatible with the reproduction of civilization. This is the problem in America is not necessarily there's too much government or too little government. It's that we're not holding ourselves to the standard of being reproduced as a civilization. So antisocial values can be freely cultivated. Pornography, OnlyFans, you name it. These are things that are not compatible with a functioning civilization.
These things thrive under communism. So let me give
what
you
is
some
one example of a communist?
Abortion completely thrived under communism, is only stamped out by Stalinists because they were extinguishing their civilization. The great abortion advocates in feminism were, in fact, communists. Some of the greatest abortion advocates. That is not conducive.
I don't think that's true at all. I think that what you're talking about is that abortion was legalized and relaxed initially because they eliminated all of the civil codes. But even the I wouldn't call them feminists, but even Alexandra Kollontai, for example,
you don't think she was a feminist?
No, I don't. Even though she was in favor of the legalization of...
She's considered one of the great feminist minds of our time, Haz.
By Western feminists, sure, but in Russia, that's not how she would be regarded. But anyway, look... Okay. The point is, even they recognized that even if it was to be legalized, they didn't think it was a good thing. They thought it was a necessary evil.
Can we get a furry sticker? You got one, dude.
The idea was that, it's harm reduction because people are doing it anyway because these are wartime conditions and it's very dangerous to their health. And they said, our goal is to eliminate this, but we're just going to make it legal so it's less dangerous to them. Now, we could disagree with that or agree with that. That's not necessarily my point. But even when communist countries allow for abortion, and many of them banned it, by the way, at different periods, I don't think there's any state in history that were more aggressively pro-natalist in terms of how much they were trying to pursue these policies than communist states. Let's remember that. But even in the cases where it is legalized...
But that came later, Haz. You have to concede that came later.
We're talking about the first 10 years of the Soviet state.
But the thing is they foresaw that when they looked at how many abortions were happening, they went, oh, shit, this is not going to be good for the numbers that we need for the state that we want. They didn't have any moral qualms with abortion itself. There was nobody out there moralizing about the great evil of abortion inside of these communist nations. Kollontai most certainly was not. And many of the feminists, who I would consider to definitely be feminist thought leaders who worked alongside Stalin, were not. They were doing everything, in fact, to promote abortion inside these communist nations. I think that is antithetical.
But who is promoting abortion?
I can give you a massive list, and you can also go to Occult Feminism. My wife wrote it. Yeah. She gives an entire list. But Kollontai is another one. These people worked directly with the Soviets. The Soviets definitely, well, before they were even really Soviets, as communism comes in, definitely abortion is something which was running rampant all over the place.
That's not really, this is not an inherently communist thing. This is just a modernity thing. And
that wasn't that modern, right? What do you mean by modernity?
Because many European countries,
free birth control.
Many European countries had already laxed their abortion rights at that time. This is not a uniquely communist thing at all.
Which ones?
I can't name them off the top of my head, so I could concede that. But look it up. So they had already legalized it in some of them.
Yeah, some of them maybe, but the thing is like, no, this was not considered a good thing at this time in
The
history.
communists themselves did not regard abortion ever as a good thing. I would like one example where communists are promoting it as a good thing.
I would say if you're
Real
morally...
quick, what was this year time that you guys were talking about specifically with abortion
So
being
if
a
you're...
thing?
hang on,
He's trying to say that I mentioned how
years?
there's
What years? That's all I'm
abortion was legal in the Soviet Union up till 31 or 30. I forget exactly.
That's all I want to know. The time
yeah.
for the audience to understand.
Neutrality on an issue like abortion is in of itself an evil. Saying I'm neutral to the murder of others is in and of itself an evil.
Listen, I respect your opinion. I think there should be room for opinions like that, but it's not everyone's opinion. You know, for the world. For the world's majority. It's even in the strictest Islamic countries that have Sharia law, they still make exceptions where abortion can be allowed. Even in the most extreme religious conservative countries in the world, they don't ban every kind of instance of abortion. But regardless, I don't want to get into a debate about abortion.
But that wasn't what they were doing. They weren't like, oh, the mother's life is in jeopardy.
Yes, what did you think?
No, they were making an allowance for any case.
Crazy when you realize basically a generation of people in Russia didn't have to go to school.
Read their moral codes. They had moral codes
Lucky.
about how communists should behave. And they shouldn't be promiscuous. They shouldn't be sleeping around.
China isn't even communist now. Yeah, he's just kind of retarded,
telling
dude.
everyone to. And so the original point, though, is that we're talking about antisocial things like pornography.
Isn't China like fascism more than like
that to be an
communism at this point?
Right, but every communist state, you said, well, communists promote things like that. Every
Isn't it more like
communist
fascist
state
because it's like
totally
state-run?
cracked down, eliminated, and banned all of those things.
What? Which things?
Prostitution, pornography, all of this sex industry in general.
Yeah, sure. The kind of tightness which was around there. But
MK Ultra, commie, Freemason.
They did the exact same thing. Fascist states will also clamp down on moral degeneracy. This is not a point towards communism.
Fascist states. I would say fascist occupied
Thank you,
countries
Jeffy, for the link.
hypocrites. They would claim that, oh, we're against degeneracy, and they would target the degeneracy on a superficial
China
level.
is fascist in practice, but the only people who call it that are near. Because they're using it as like a derogatory thing. Whereas like technically, you can go to BlueJ page and manage your unorganized freak retard incel life.
But as far as the root causes of the degeneracy, they would leave a blind eye to it.
Yeah.
The Nazis, when they occupied Europe, they would establish institutional.
What's up, Big Bongo? You're sick? No, you're banned.
Yeah.
You're banned from Cozy.
Eliminate prostitution.
Yeah, but you're moving the goalpost. Hang on. Saying, well, wait a second. They did the exact same thing.
They didn't.
That the
They didn't.
communists
I like
did
capitalism
by
myself.
outlawing it. They did. You're just making the claim, oh, they weren't going after the root, which is capitalism.
Right, so they didn't eliminate it.
You have failed to demonstrate, though, that capitalism itself was the root of the problem. And the thing is like, look,
You know the problem is brown people are susceptible to this retardation because they're just susceptible. Like you look at the DNC, stupid people are susceptible to retarded things, and you look at the DNC, the RNC, and Haz, and it's like, yeah, America's just getting browner. And the browner America gets, the more retarded the ideas are that are like get any sort of attention, which is this is just one of them.
they crack down on the same sorts of degeneracy inside of fascist states, and you don't need communism nor fascism to crack down on this. This type of degeneracy comes from egalitarian principles. It comes from equality principles. It does not come from theological principles.
So
it
is
does not come from religious
communism
principles.
egalitarian?
I think fundamentally it proposes egalitarianism.
So why were communists so severely against moral and cultural degeneracy then?
Because I think it wasn't in the interest of the state to pursue those things. But I just gave you an instance where the ultimate degeneracy, which is murder in the womb, they definitely stayed completely neutral.
I think the sex industry is a much more fundamental evil than a case where
bro can't get none. Bro can't get none.
Some abortions are allowed.
I'd rather that there be prostitutions than dead babies.
I mean, again, I understand it's a contentious issue, and there's a lot of extremes. For example, the United States, liberal states, had very extreme lax abortion law, right?
Great.
Where you can terminate at 8 months and 9 months.
California, New York.
Nowhere in the world was this. I mean, it's unthinkable in liberal Europe. It's unthinkable anywhere in the world. I don't think this is an egalitarian issue.
Then why
It's
are
a
you pointing
liberal
to states
problem.
where they promote the most forms of egalitarianism they possibly
Babe, the
can?
power chat is not chiming. Yeah, babe, the power chat isn't been used today. Power chat has not been used. We're almost done, dude. If it's 8:30 and I haven't gotten $50 more, I'm done. Okay? If I haven't gotten $50 in the next 20 minutes, I'm done.
Idea, even surpassing equality to equity, saying, okay, this not equality is not even enough. Has to be equitable.
I gotta watch Tokyo Vice. I gotta watch Tokyo Vice, eat chicken wings, drink beer, and watch Tokyo Vice and do some push-ups. Okay? That's my schedule for tonight. Eating chicken wings, watching Tokyo Vice, drinking some beer, and enjoying my time, okay?
Now, if your box
Not
isn't
this trash. Communism sucks.
big enough, at the analogy that you've heard this, right?
Can you do the clap push-ups? I can. I'm light, so push-ups are always easy. Push-ups are always easy for me. Like, that's like the easiest part. Whenever the guy, the coach is, all right, push-up time. That's just the easiest thing for me, because I have broad shoulders, so I have wide base. I can do the diamond push-ups too, but I can do those easy, dude. Now they're much harder. Like, getting enough energy to push yourself off the ground is harder, but that ain't hard, dude. That's so much easier. Those and sit-ups. Sit-ups, I can just like knock those out easy. Like, this is not even hard. Why I'm looking over and I'm seeing people struggling with the sit-ups, and I'm like, and then they hit a heavy bag, and I'm like, oh, my wrist hurts. And then they're like,
Box isn't big enough.
how many push-ups? How many in a row?
You can
Fresh, I can do like 40 in a row easy. Like, by the end of it, I'll start getting tired. I can probably push myself to 50. About 40 at this point, easy. Now the push-ups, like clap ones, probably like 25 or 20. I don't know. I haven't done like that many. But yeah, no, push-ups I can do fresh, easy. I used to be able to do up to like 50, 60, but I haven't been doing that recently. But yeah, no, push-ups are easy. I'm light, dude. So like, I'm light, and most of my muscles in my arms and my legs. So like, sit-ups and push-ups, it's like literally like the easiest thing ever.
could look on the fence too.
Well, let me ask you a question. Why take them at face value? They say we want to have equity for all these oppressed minorities. Why take them at face value?
I don't take communists at face value.
Well, communists have results, and meanwhile, what Kamala Harris has is promising World War III, more funding for Israel, and more enriching of the capitalist class. So, but here's the issue, right? This talk of equity and stuff.
How are we doing on Cozy? Let's check our Cozy metrics.
This is just a way to stem
Let's check
the
our Cozy
majority
metrics.
working class populist currents in your country. If I'm constantly propping up minorities as a political tool, it's not that I want everyone to be equal or it's about egalitarianism. It's just a political
Still kind of dominating,
to demoralize the working
160.
class.
This
Absolutely
webcam
right.
works.
But that
I have to say this webcam situation, the green screen, it does work, dude. Yeah, I have noticed an uptick of viewers, an uptick of compliments, and an uptick of donations. So it is a real thing. It is definitely a real thing. It helps.
concede the point that this type of class warfare is being utilized on purpose to create division among individual people. You and I both agree that that's true. Okay? There's no dispute there. But saying that communism, the answer to this, is to strip autonomous property rights.
Not bad. Just do them every 3 days. Yeah, no, that's not my problem. My problem is my wrist, because I literally... That was the interesting thing, too, when I was working out at the gym, I felt like I was going to be, like, totally gassed. I didn't feel gassed at all. But I didn't get to the end part where I was, you're hitting the heavy bag. That's really the hard work. Because you're hitting into something. And you're, back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, in terms of, like, moving your body around the bag and all that stuff. So I didn't get to do that. But I was not winded at all with the workout, which is nice.
Which is basically what your position reduces to. Seems like you're really throwing the baby out with the bathwater here.
I want to...
15 minutes until I'm done if I don't get $50. If I don't get $50 in the coffers, I'm done streaming for tonight. And then tomorrow will be a short day.
I want to draw from the spirit of the Communist Manifesto, which is like, we don't want to strip the autonomous property rights of the individual because capitalism has already done this. Capitalism has enslaved and immiserated this entire nation with debt such that even business owners, and this is the quintessential example that we're told of free enterprise. Majority of them are in debt. They don't own everything. They're in debt. They have to pay mortgages. They have to pay interest on the loans that they took out. And how many of them are actually profitable? Even the biggest corporations in this country are in debt. They are not autonomous. Even the largest, most, you name them, Starbucks, McDonald's, whatever, they
Lemon Party sucks so bad. That guy, what's his name? Ben, the audio engineer from Tim Dillon's podcast. He's so gay. What a soy boy fag, dude. He's so gay. Tim Dillon's so much straighter than him.
All are in debt, and it's ultimately the bankers and the financial institutions that control
they're not really
everything.
in debt. They get obscene profits, and they report that they have a lot of debt, so they don't have to pay taxes.
That's true.
They're not in
true.
debt.
That's only true for the industries that collateralize.
That's most industries.
No.
It should have been me instead of Ben. I should have been the intern. If I was the intern for Tim Dillon, I would still be working for him.
Industries that collateralize the loans that creditors give out. This is oil. This is energy. And on that account, you're right.
But,
This is what the
going
oil
back
industry.
to
Let's get forward a bit.
somebody else, right? You have to be able to replace at least
So
you.
why-
Most people were not even able to do that.
I just want to clearly understand something. You agree that we've been around for thousands of
Yeah,
years.
the breakup episode where Tim Dillon is talking to the fat, what's his name? Ray Kump, and just making fun of him. It's so funny, dude. I love Ray Kump and Tim Dillon. They're so epic.
Yeah.
So for a
You're all, what does the number one mean? Are you like SpongeBob or something? Yeah, he's SpongeBob.
short period of that time, the population has exploded, yes?
Well, it's all throughout history. There's been times.
It
where that's
hasn't been a
happened.
steady rate of growth. You can look at the chart.
I didn't say it
within a
was.
short period of time relative to when we've existed
This
in
has
general on
happened
Earth.
multiple times.
Is this what I'm saying? Like, do you think that there was a point in human history before where there were this many people, or what?
I'm not saying that, but that doesn't logically make sense.
I think that it's clear
That's
that
not logic. That doesn't logically make sense.
The
Why
main
would it
cause,
be-
the
what?
main cause of population growth, okay, as far as the modern period,
Yeah.
has been the development of the productive forces and industrialization. I think that's pretty obvious.
I'm not disputing that technology has assisted with this. What I'm saying is that the thing which makes the technology possible is the people element.
One means founder.
It's the human element.
You're the
Humans have
founder.
been around for thousands of years.
Yes,
Why is
but
it only
not
until
because
recently?
You still have to have X amount of numbers who can run the production of this technology in order to continue this bloodline going. You have to have that.
But why is it only recently that the population exploded?
It's not recent. There's been many times in history where there's been explosions of population.
relative to
depending
the
on what's going on.
8 billion people that are on Earth right now, yes, it was recent.
No, okay, but you know what else?
If in 4000 BC,
when you're eliminating
All right.
half of your population, like you're doing in China, where you go, oh, we have too many people, we're just going to start drowning them, right?
When did they do that?
You can curtail. Oh, the one-child policy in China.
yeah, how did they eliminate half of their population though?
I'll give you guys the meta. I'll give you guys a meta here. You guys want the meta? For travel? First, let me give you a little fact. Did you know that you can use your iPad as a computer screen? You can use the iPad as a computer screen. Here's the meta. Buy a mini PC. Buy an iPad. This is a sucky meta. As I map it out, it sucks. Buy a keyboard. Buy a mouse. Never mind. Just bring a laptop when you travel. I was gonna say just bring the mini PC and the iPad so that way you could relax with your iPad. But I realized as I was talking, you have to bring the mini PC, the power cable, the power bank, the keyboard, the mouse pad, and an iPad. And I realized I had debunked myself before I even had said the claim. I realized I was an idiot and I should kill myself. I realized that what an idiot I am. And the meta is not that. The meta is just bring a laptop. Don't be extra.
They're slated by 2050
Never mind.
to have
I take it back.
eliminated half of the population via birth rate.
I've seen different statistics on that, so I'm not going to really get into it. But
I think we need to get into it.
Yeah.
By 2050, 2060.
I've seen by 2100 it's going to decrease to.
Forget I said anything. Forget I said any of that, dude. Wipe that from the VOD.
And I've seen that. I haven't
Delete
seen
that from the
extreme
VOD.
numbers that you're talking about anywhere.
They're slated. Okay.
2050,
let me ask
half the population. That's
Let me ask
crazy.
you a question.
Yeah.
In South Korea right now, do you know what the birth rate is?
Just don't leave your house. That's the real meta. The real meta is don't travel. Don't leave your house ever. Don't ever leave your house or travel.
Low. Very low.
Do you know what it is?
Not exactly.
It's 0.7,
Yeah.
and it's slated to go to 0.5.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that culture doomed, Haz?
It's a crisis. It's an existential crisis.
Yeah, it's due.
If they don't find a way to fix it, then yeah.
Well, could you hit the point of no return, where in just one generation you just don't have?
I think.
enough
Look,
people.
I want to get back to this point though.
I'm in this point.
Wait. I want to get back to this.
In the point.
But
Hang on.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
get back to it, but I need to finish my inquiry here.
Yeah.
Okay. That they're doomed. If you get underneath a certain threshold in your birth rates, your population is doomed.
Listen, Andrew, I am ready to accept that.
Okay.
But we need to get back to the point, which is that if you don't expand the material wealth through modern industrialization and so on, it's not even possible to expand
But I think the human
population.
element is what.
But humans have been around for thousands of years. So why is it only recently that it exploded?
I don't understand why
it
you keep making
exploded
my
to 8
point.
billion people only recently, okay? For
Is there water dripping from his nose? He just has he has a weird hook nose.
thousands of years, we have never gotten...
Did Paul get arrested today? Did I? Or what? What happened? Why did I get arrested? What's the news? Let me in on the news.
the rate of growth that we
That's
have
because we
since
didn't
the rise
have
of industrialization.
Aircraft travel and mass land travel and steamboats and steam engines.
And I wonder
all
what
of those
contributes to the
things.
possibility of
Because
these
all it
things.
takes
It's
is-
the expansion of the productive
all it
forces.
takes
I got arrested today? Damn.
is one
Damn, you're telling me for the first time. You're telling me for the first time.
technological marvel to open up possibilities. It's like, for instance, okay, if we invented a spaceship that took us to Mars tomorrow,
I heard from
okay,
Bookcat's Twitter. It's true, actually.
and we can
What is
have
Bookcat
viable
up to?
life on Mars, do you think the population of Mars would fucking explode?
Okay, so you agree it's technology
Haz,
then,
answer my
right?
question.
If we had a spaceship to
If
go
you
to
had a
Mars,
spaceship that would go to Mars,
Yeah.
and you landed on Mars, right, would the population there on Mars explode?
yeah, sure.
Absolutely it would.
Bookcat
right?
and easy girls.
Yeah.
So you can have one technological marvel,
But we
which
can't even do that.
which can complete this. But
So what are the factors that contribute to
but
that?
It takes the human element to go to Mars,
I
thus
agree.
expanding the labor
Hold on.
pool on Mars.
But human element by itself has no explanatory value. I'm being more specific about the nature of that
I
human
think
element.
it does. I think the human element itself is the pinnacle
Once
of the
again,
value.
human beings have been around for thousands of years,
Not
and
disputing that.
only recently, okay, have we seen the explosion in the population relative to every other
Yeah, but
point
that's
in
the
history.
Mars argument
Sorry.
I just made. Sure, absolutely.
Oh, would you have Bookcat on Woodstown soon? I don't know. I have to talk to Keith about that. I'll have to contact him with my Irish mind. We'll have to do a telepathic conversation about that. I'm not opposed to it.
They've been around.
But I don't know if we're going to do guests. I like the two. Like, obviously, having Nick on is good because you get a big audience and it's fun. It's nice. But it's nice to have just two people just talking about the news. I don't think we've figured out the interview format yet. I think we need to both work on the interview format and figure out what we want to do with that. Because what we have where it's like talking to each other, I feel like it flows best because it's back, the pattern's the same, and you don't hurt people's feelings or you don't ruin momentum or confuse people and make them feel bad. I don't want to make people feel bad going on the show. I want people to feel like, I want people to feel like they came into our home and we made them a cup of tea. And they sat down by the fire and we had good crake, and they listen to some bagpipes and they walk home thinking, I had such a lovely night. I had such a lovely evening at the townhouse, at the Woodstown cottage. I want them to feel like that when they leave. And that wasn't achieved. This episode. I want people to feel like they came in, they sat down, came in out of the rain, sat down by the fire, had a cup of mead, a glass of mead, some mutton chops, some biscuits, some Irish bread, Irish soda bread with no raisins in it, some butter, some nice Kerrygold butter on it. That's what I'm looking for. A nice warm cup of tea, a spot of tea. That's what I'm thinking about. That's the type of vibe I'm trying to curate. And we didn't achieve that. So I don't know how soon we're going to do another interview.
Around for thousands of years, but the second they can make a rocket ship to
So
Mars,
let's be more
now
specific.
the Martian population explodes.
What about the human element, and this has to have explanatory value, is necessary for population growth
it can
that
work.
we've seen? What about the human element needs to be?
5 minutes, $50 to go until the end of the show. 5 minutes to send in that $50. Keep the show going. Otherwise, sayonara, losers.
Be there.
It can work. It can work.
So human beings have not been working for thousands of years
I
until
didn't
recently?
say that.
So what needs to be there? What's the decisive thing?
The human being.
You love me? Don't tell me you love me. Give me your money. Don't tell me you love me. That's worthless. Give me your money. That's what love is. That's what love is.
Yeah.
Because absent the human being, you can't expand.
Right, but human beings have been around for a long time. So what's the decisive
Didn't say
thing
that
for the
they-
past few
didn't
hundred
say
years?
They weren't around. I don't understand your argument, Haz.
I think just to bring it back to the whole topic at hand, I think both of you are obviously correct. Like you're talking more about technology, he's talking about the human element, which creates the technology. But
Yeah, technology really is the key. It really isn't whether it's capitalist or communist or whatever. If technology really is the key to birth rates declining. The thing is though, as people get more advanced, their technology gets better. So even if just by virtue of winning, so they get more goodies. So even if they don't know how to make it, even if they're retarded, they're going to get more and more phones, more and more stuff because they're winning, right? And as they, get more and more phones, their birth rates decline because people with phone don't need sex. Why have sex when you have TikTok? Why have sex when you have Kick? Why have sex when you have Rumble? Why have sex when you have Twitter? So it's just $25 left.
Said $25, Paul. Please don't leave me.
$25 to go. 3 minutes to send $25. Can you do it? Can the chat do it? If not, it's over.
both need to be.
I'm
be
presupposing the human element.
Yeah,
I'm not denying it. That's
yeah.
a given to me,
Yeah.
right? But I'm just saying, let's be more specific.
You can make the argument about which one matters more.
Why have sex?
But,
You have Woodstown.
which I think this is what this argument is going down.
But the human element is not in question right now. It's
Real
not
Paul
called
Temor, like real piece of crap. Snowy XOXO. You're a hater. You're a hater, troll.
I
into
think
question.
it was in
Why?
question because
Why?
you questioned it. You said no, it's an expansion.
No, I don't understand this misunderstanding.
Paul Town, you're too intimidating with a wall behind you. Now you look too nice. That's the plan, dude. When an animal gets older, they have to look nicer. As they get older and weaker, I have to look sweeter and sweeter because that makes people think I'm nicer and nicer. So they don't attack me.
Into question the human element. I'm calling into question the idea that industrialization
Can
is
we watch
somehow
Frazzle Drip? No, I watched it. It drove me crazy.
the decisive thing relative to the thousands. We're presupposing that we've always been human beings. Okay,
Paul, you don't look a day over 14? Then do what you do and give me money. If you really thought that, you'd be giving me money and DMing me. So obviously you don't think I look that young.
500 years ago. The human
Your
being
thing,
is
a
like it's
different
taken for
story.
granted, all right?
Yeah.
But specifically,
Percent $5, big boy, best I got.
Thank you. $20. Throw $20 left to go, and I'll keep streaming for a bit. If I don't get $20 in 2 minutes, sayonara, losers.
right? The past few hundred years, something new happened, right? Which is what we call industrialization.
I'm not disagreeing with
which is the expansion of the
element, though.
I
It's-
think
yeah.
the big thing here is that both of you are correct. I think just going back to the
1 minute.
we got on a kind of a little bit of a circle there.
$20 is all it takes.
Industrialization versus human concept of creating industrialization. What about
Look at this. Look at this, Jimbo.
I think I can make this easy.
Look at the.
I think I can make this easy.
Look what I added at the bottom. I changed it from cozy to kick.
because this is, remember, the corruption of the United States. This is
Human
what the
beings
topic
can't
was.
exist absent technology. Technology cannot exist absent humanity.
Okay.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
No, animals use technology all the time. Monkeys use sticks to hit each other. That's technology.
Would mean definitionally that the human element is the most necessary element for the expansion of humanity.
Who's calling
and for
that into
humanity.
question? I'm not saying we should mutate into a different
Yeah,
species.
but you're saying because there was a technological advance.
Yeah.
Okay, which nobody disputed that a technological advance
Yeah.
couldn't
Oh,
lead.
time's up.
Specifically was the
couldn't
decisive.
Time's up. 20 minutes did not happen. $20 did not happen. Well, it was a good scam, though. A good scam to get $30 in 15 minutes, I'll tell you that. The scam worked. Scam, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Good scam. All right. Tomorrow,